Right, that's now recorded. Okay, welcome to the March meeting of the Finance and General Purposes Committee of Bingley Town Council. Present in the room are Councillor Robert Beckwith, Councillor John Good, Councillor Philippa Gibbons and Councillor Steve Williams. And we have apologies for absence from Councillors Carney, Mia and Clough. So can we have a proposer from... Yes, thank you very much for Councillor Carney.
Carney, yeah.
And seconded by Councillor Gibbons. All in favour of Councillor Carney?
Yeah.
So passed. Councillor Mia? Same, and all approved.
Yeah.
And Councillor Clough, same. Right, thank you very much, people. Disclosures of interest. Oh, sorry, let's put my phone on silent. That stops that. That's the doorbell proximity thing. Right, off. To receive declarations of interest from councillors on items on the agenda. Have we got any from around the room, please? No. Thank you. Have we received any written requests for dispensations? No. Thank you, Clerk. So we're not going to consider any. So we go to the minutes of 21/22/146. I wasn't here at the F&GP and Councillor Mia chaired it, so I can't comment. So anyone who
I think I've read it. I think we're okay.
I think they're fine. I'm happy to propose.
I'll propose, seconded.
Yeah.
All those in favour.
Yeah.
That's 3 in favour and 1 abstention, which is me. Confidential items to be discussed after item 21/22/160. Do you feel that there are any?
I don't think there's anything confidential.
No, I didn't think there was any. Councillor Beckwith, did you think?
No.
Okay.
If there were any, would it be published as this a list?
It would be on the agenda like that, but it would be discussed off camera at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
See, if you look on the agenda, 21/22/160 is right at the back end of the agenda. So we go off camera, discuss the confidential nature, and then once we make a decision, the clerk minutes the decision as a public record.
Right.
But they're not aware of the discussions. That is confidential. So public participation, there's the admin officer in the room who's technically a member of the public. So would you like to say anything under 21/22/148, Ruth? Or
I'm just going to support the councillors if they need any clarification on the allotment issue.
Okay,
I think Councillor John Good is fully briefed on it, but just
yeah,
in case
so you don't want to say anything in this public participation section?
I'll just support if you have any questions.
Thank you.
When you get to the item.
Thank you.
Move it up the agenda.
I am going to move it up. Now we've done the public participation, I am so going to do. So for the purposes of the record, we have the admin officer in the room who is wholly responsible for allotments, and there is an item on the agenda for allotments later in the agenda, so we're going to move that up the agenda to talk about now. So I'll move the agenda on to allotments. To 21/22/156 allotments. To receive an update on allotments and consider any issues, including the following. To agree the annual rent increase for allotment rents for 22/23 in line with the CPI. But first of all, the updates and issues. There is an issue on the allotment which I think you might be aware of. I don't know whether everyone's aware of it, but in a nutshell, a tenant has given notice to quit his allotment. The council has asked him to put the allotment back in the situation as he found it under his tenancy agreement, and he has come back saying the reason he's quitting is through ill health and he's unable to do it, and that's where we are at the moment. We have a holding letter into him at the moment, and I believe Councillor Good has got more information to share, but bear in mind we're not in confidence, so no names please, Councillor.
Oh no.
Just
myself and the administrative officer and site rep and site rep's husband, just as an aside, visited the site, and there were several points that needed looking at. Firstly, it's been suggested by a tenant that we hire the perimeter fence. This was due to theft.
Plumbers.
I went to look at it, and I initially said no. I didn't think that were not viable, cost effective for keeping people out. However, a couple of days later, it was pointed out that we're still having problems with deer.
Right.
I've been to look at the site today. My feeling is that if we spent all that money on a deer fence, we've spent money on, well, we didn't spend money because I did it up myself, but we've hired the gate. I've walked round today. There's about 40 metres of wall that goes from the roadside is from 5 foot, which I think, they might not get in, but it goes up round to about 4 foot. Mm-hmm. But what I'll be suggesting is to just extend it up with some, rather than put a fence up, as in wooden fencing, is put posts, probably fastened to the wall, but have something like that green or galvanised mesh netting, say 3 foot above the wall top.
Is this specifically for deer?
This is for deer.
Yeah, and so they're getting in from the roadside or
Well,
the woodside?
Well,
know.
well, this is why Rules advised me that the tenants said they're coming over the wall. Is that correct,
Yeah,
Rule?
that they're jumping on the bottom wall, which isn't that high.
The bottom wall.
Tenants said.
Yeah.
So
And
is
I
that,
have been there with deer, have been there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of where I'm thinking of is that it's a visual amenities allotment. People walk down Beck Lane and they like seeing the allotment. If we put
No, you'd better see through it fine. This is why I was concerned initially.
Yeah.
I didn't want it blocking
No,
off. I thought
no.
it wasn't aesthetically pleasing.
yeah,
But if you put, another maybe 3 foot above,
yeah.
just to make it a barrier round.
Would
What
we
is this?
need planning permission for that?
I don't know.
What does the site rep think?
If the fencing is above a certain height, because it's in a conservation area, then you would have to.
Yeah.
Well,
take that. But that doesn't mean they
So-
can't be done.
So I would be suggesting at this stage is probably find out if we need planning.
Yeah.
And then get a couple of quotes, whatever's needed to, and then bring it back here.
Okay.
Because
So this is all down the Beck Lane?
You pardon?
All down the Beck Lane?
This is Beck
though?
Lane, yeah.
Yeah, they're all down the Beck Lane side though.
Sorry,
I know
yeah, absolutely. You see, I don't think they're gonna. I don't know why they aren't just gonna jump over from Beck Lane but there's about a 10-foot drop there.
Yeah, on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they aware of this?
The deer.
Yeah, I mean.
Soon-
Been in,
soon
they-
find
they
out.
were-
But the others, you follow me. So coming from this side, you see, they can jump back over into the road easily because it's only 2 foot.
Yeah.
Because the land rises up.
Yeah.
But my initial argument was, well, it's 5 foot high. But when you actually walk it and go round, it gets down to 4 foot. Well, that's jumpable for So that's the deer thing. That's the
So
first
your
thing.
proposal would be
My proposal would
get
be
someone to have a look at it.
that we do some research on it and then bring it back to either the next meeting or whatever.
You talked about wire meshing.
Yeah.
Can't you get the square meshing?
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about wire netting.
No.
I was talking about
Plastic. Yeah.
well, I don't know, it's plastic,
Yeah.
but it's
It's got rectangular holes.
that's that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But
Anyone?
industrials
Yeah.
mesh.
Yeah. Philippa, do you have a thought on that?
Only that if it is, we discussed last month about polytunnels and how they block stuff off. That might be, we might now be going.
Block stuff. No.
Polytunnels.
Well, yeah, but how they impact on the visual amenity of the place. We might well be doing something similar
Some
by putting
visual
the fence
damage.
up.
But we also have a right to protect the
But we do need
facility we
yeah.
rent out, don't we?
Yeah.
We lease the land to people for
Yeah.
gain of, you know.
And I'm not sure if people suddenly start finding
have the
deer
green
with broken
netting.
legs where they've found the 10-foot drop is necessarily going to be.
So that's what my thinking. As I say, I've changed my mind from initially because I just thought it wasn't worth it for
a few
a bag of plums.
Yeah.
But as I say, we've
they're
done a lot of investment, putting a huge fence down the wood
Back
side.
side,
It
yeah.
seems silly for them to just come in the other side. That's my view.
It does seem funny. Councillor Beckwith, did you have a
Yes,
view
I
on?
just had a idea you could go for green netting.
I've suggested it. That's it. You suggested that. Yeah.
So I'll second your proposal. We go away and get some
Yeah.
get some inquiries going on
Just
it
get-
and
get-
come back and
yeah.
see what we can do. Because it's cost sensitive. It's bound to be cost sensitive, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's 42 metres or so. It's quite.
I say I've just walked it. 40
Yeah,
to-
but it's posts, isn't it? It'll
40
be the
minutes.
cost of the post, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but what we're thinking of, because of the nature of the dry stone wall and the digging, I'd just go for fixing something to the wall itself, like we've done at Stanley
Yeah.
Street.
Yeah, but you had a brick wall there, didn't you, John, rather than a
No, it's stone. Yeah, that's stone. Yeah,
stone? Yeah, okay.
the other stone.
Yeah.
Stanley Street stone.
Yeah.
But you can just screw at the bottom and put
Okay.
packing in, plumb them up. It's not a big deal.
John proposed that. I seconded it. You guys in favour of going away and do some more research?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
Right. So the tenancy leaving.
Yes,
With
right.
What's view on
So
that?
we've also looked at that. Now this is quite a nightmare.
Right.
You've got a building, a greenhouse, brick based, but sort of semi derelict, and we're talking that's 20 metres long. Okay, and about. I didn't have my keys, so I couldn't get in to measure it the other way, but it's probably 8 foot wide.
Right.
Okay, so that's
3 metres.
2.5 metres wide. So our initial thoughts were that'll have to go
Yeah.
before we could. Now it's been offered to the next tenant, potential
Top of the
tenant
list.
on the list,
Yeah.
and he apparently has some building skills, and he was suggesting he might be able to refurb it. One of the questions was, so it's going to cost, if we demolish it, it's going to be a lump of money.
Yeah.
So he's suggesting that he might be able to repair it, and also would we be in a position to help him finance the restructure, the rebuilding of it, because it cost us money if we have to take it down.
Well, wouldn't we pass that back to the original outgoing tenant under the tenancy agreement?
What's that?
The money to reclaim the land back to how it should be, wouldn't we pass that back
No,
to the tenant that's outgoing?
Sort of two issues as I see it here. There's some more stuff that needs clearing. This is what we're asking him to get rid of.
Yes.
Okay. I've had a long conversation with Ruth this morning. Our view is that we get a skip to clear the initial bit. You've got to see it to understand it in a way.
So
Come on.
we have two issues in front of us. Is it the same plot?
It's all the same plot,
Right.
but you'll see where we're coming from. Two issues. So the area where he's had hens and things before, which is under trees and goodness knows what, and there's still a lot of structural things there, like hen huts and stuff like that. My view is that we could, either the chap who's taking it or could clear it, we provide the skip, and then pass that charge on to the outgoing tenant. Okay. And then if this new man is in a position to refurbish the greenhouse stroke building stroke
Whatever.
storage,
Whatever it is.
yeah.
The structure.
I mean, it's
building.
it's done as it is. Its roof's gone and everything. Would we be in a position to not recompense him, to subsidise him.
Help him.
I mean, that's open to discussion, obviously,
Yeah.
going forward. But then we'd have to have you'd need another skip then
Yeah.
that we'd have to pay for him, because he'd have to take the roof and the stuff down, all the stuff the rubbish
The
and
detritus.
the detritus is a good word. Back into the skip, we'd pay for that.
So there's,
But this is so that we can get it into a position for the allotment to be tenanted again.
I think there's a policy issue here, though, isn't there, John? In terms of when is a tenancy agreement not a tenancy agreement? You know, as a matter of policy, you know, we've got people that have signed up to a tenancy agreement which says they will put it back to as it should be under the tenancy agreement and Section 4 of the Allotments Act.
Right.
Yeah, the member of the public, the administrative officer is itching to come in here. So, in the interest of openness and clarity, yes, Ruth.
The structure that we're talking about in this case, the one that's derelict,
Yes.
is a historical
building.
So he didn't do it.
Building.
No, not at all.
It isn't a building that any tenant has put up, and so we usually treat those differently
Okay.
than if it's a structure
Yeah,
such as a greenhouse and a shed that a tenant has put up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just happens to be on this plot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. It's a big.
back to the
big,
tenancy agreement then.
Yeah.
It says the tenant is to remove from the allotment gardens any building structures or fixtures which the tenant or a predecessor has affixed to the plot.
Yeah.
So my issue is, you know, if we and I'm warm to your suggestion, John.
Yeah.
I'm really not saying this.
No.
It's a matter of principle.
It's nothing to me. I'm
I get that.
I'm just
Yeah, but
passing on what I've seen.
And I'm playing devil's advocate here, so say we've got a tenancy agreement which says all predecessors. So if the new guy comes in, and when he leaves, you know, this thing could stay there, and we'll have to get rid of it eventually. So you know, it's just you keep kicking the can down the road. So if the new tenant wants it,
Yeah.
I would be loath to get rid of it as a point of
Well,
principle,
absolutely. I mean,
because it's a utility. What we want, or someone wants.
I think this really practical things.
it'd be pathetic to get rid of it.
As in allotments.
Yeah.
If you're going to a site and there's a hut there, you don't want it taken away, do you?
And then put another hut back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
yeah.
no,
So.
Well, that's the obvious
So
way forward.
I think that's sort of our discretion, isn't
Yeah.
it, to decide what we're going to ask people to take away.
So how much are we going to help the new guy?
Well, I think that needs to we need that needs taking forward. I don't think we should make that decision unless we take it in principle. But a figure wise will depend how much it cost.
What about in principle passing some of that back to the outgoing tenant? Because the structure's one thing, but the rest of it is another.
I know what you're saying again. How likely is it that I know it's in the policy, and I know we say we can charge them. How likely is it that the outgoing tenant is going to pay anything?
That's
Because then it comes down to chasing somebody, legal costs, etc., etc.
I think that's a decision when he said he'd not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think from the building point of view, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth there. I think in the building point of view, we've got a kind of an agreement that will, you know,
You might be able to help him.
Yeah, we might be able to help him. We'll see what the costs are and all that. But in terms of the rest of the site, you know, you're talking about skip. But who's going to fill said skip? The new tenant.
Well, there again, I know. As any cost that's incurred to that skip and filling it,
Yeah,
I agree would go to the old tenant.
should be. Yeah, and
Yeah.
if he doesn't pay, then
Part
we
of
have
tidying up.
we have an issue because
Yeah.
they're sent out a form about
Because
a form for him to fill in for personal circumstances, financial hardship, and things like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, presumably that's in the tenancy agreement, or is it on our web, or is this a new document?
So the issue that I sort of asked them to consider was whether in principle we're going to charge departing tenants if they don't do it to the required standard for buildings that aren't the historical brick ones.
Yeah.
Just to confirm that was okay to have those conversations with him, but on the proviso that if an individual tenant says that they can't do it for either exceptional personal circumstances or financial hardship, if they're on perhaps means tested benefits, then the council would be prepared to consider waiving those fees. So what I'm anticipating happening is that, I'll be talking to that tenant if they say they can't clear the items that we've agreed they should, which does not include the brick building, that's a separate issue. If they said they couldn't, then I'd be investigating whether they could get someone else to do it on their behalf. And if they can't do that, and I'm saying that the council might have to get involved, then we'd be saying that we would charge.
That's exactly that's exactly what I was just going to suggest.
On the basis that if they wanted to put in a request that for exceptional personal circumstances or financial harm that they couldn't do that, they could submit that form and we would consider that, so that I can have discussions with them on the basis that we will recharge them if they can't do stuff. But there is an option for the council still to consider if that would, not entirely be appropriate in their individual circumstances, and that would then be the same for any tenant.
So the second two bits of paper we've got, which is the application for waiver and the form itself, are they new?
Well, the approach we were broadly adopting last year, but we didn't have a formal.
So it's included in the policy.
It's
It's
not
in the
written in the
agreement, isn't
policy broadly. In the tenancy agreement, it says that we can charge them to return it to the state, but we haven't. We haven't been in a situation where we've got as far as sort of needing to go to the next step of people saying, well, actually, I can't afford to do it, or there's certain personal circumstances around it. So it was just formalising the sort of approach we adopted last year, but just formalising it.
I guess what I'm asking is, do we need to agree this as a new?
Sounds like it.
As a policy change,
I think
as a form, and form number 1A or whatever it is, of putting it in the agreement policy document that we've got, which we approved last month. Or the month before. So I think that should come back. If you're saying it's in the policy agreement, the tenancy agreement, it's already there.
But that forming. I think that's just a form of words to
it's semantics.
To pass it in. So I think.
So going back to the
policy.
policy.
I think we do to propose that, don't we? Yeah. Sorry, Steve. You're going back to what?
Going back to the case in point about what we do, and I think the admin officer's got it about right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Go back, find out what the costs are, pass them back to the tenant, see if the tenant can pay, or if he wants to get someone else to do it first off, which is exactly what you said. So I would propose that we do exactly what you suggested. The course of action you proposed in your paper.
I'm seconding it.
So we'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Rolf.
And we'll put
do your worst, Rolf.
We'll do your best.
Sorry, best.
And we'll put those two bits of paper in the policy, the agreement, and bring it back for rubber stamping.
For me to have the conversations with him, I need the approach both that we are discussing the and that there is this,
right, so proposed.
Second.
To waive on the basis of those.
Done.
We've done.
We'll just formalise it in due course.
Right.
Okay.
And then we are saying to the potential new tenant, aren't we, that the council will consider supporting them in
until we know some figures and some details.
But in principle, we're open to the idea, but we'd have to be given further details.
That's absolutely
That's
perfect.
exactly right.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Very
good. Thank you.
So let's go back to the bank reconciliation as the next one on the 21-22-149 bank reconciliation statements and balances. I've got 4 bits of paper. I've got a Unity Bank piece of paper with £73,864.26 on the 28th of February.
From today, just to let you know, so it's to date, it's £73,902.97.
£73,902.97.
Okay. And we have another piece of paper which says, from the Realtors, which says it's the same figure. So presumably that too says it's the same figure, does it? They're both bits of paper tally. That's 73,902.70. Okay. And a cash book multi-pay at 0. And a public sector deposit fund at 153,000. £334.0. So we are receiving those, and we agree that they balance. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Eve. Moving on then to the internal auditor's report. Well, this has been the subject of some controversy, I know, and I don't really want to get into the controversy element of it, unless it comes up naturally. But there are 4 things on the agenda which I think, to help the F&GP along a bit, I think 3 of them we've already agreed.
Right.
I don't know what you feel about that, John. More details required for the presentation of 2022-23 budget attached to state where underspends have come from and the reasons for them, to emphasise that these are one-off savings and cannot be relied upon in future. Those amendments have been made to the Excel spreadsheet and it's sitting on the council's website.
Good.
So I think
That's done then.
I think A is done.
Yeah. Right.
Unless Philippa's looking puzzled.
No,
Or
I'm just
thinking.
I'm just wondering whether the comments was made after we'd done that and whether further.
No, these are the
The initial-
original recommendations.
Yeah, that one's done then.
Because it never actually came before F&GP, did it?
Yeah.
So this is.
No, that was full council. A separate cost centre for the running costs should be set up in the 2022-23 budget. That was agreed at full council via the hybrid amendment of Councillor Gibbons, and so I think B has been sorted as well.
Right.
Is that you're in agreement with that?
Yes,
guys?
yes, definitely, yeah.
Okay. C then, further details required for the calculation of reserves for the year-end internal audit. Well, that is not for this committee because the auditor's coming back to do that in her next visit. The audit report says I will attend to that when I come. Or not.
That's something that I need to liaise with the internal auditor about before the next full council meeting.
Yeah, but it's nothing we can do here. That's what I'm
No, but
suggesting.
you can agree that I liaise with the internal auditor.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fine.
We'll agree with that.
Propose that.
Proposed, seconded, passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's again. So the only other thing that isn't done, which is why I put it on the agenda for the F&GP at the full council meeting, was the business cases wasn't on the full council meeting agenda, and I felt that it was in the budgetary opinion paper of the internal auditor and not discussed at the full council. So I wanted us to have a conversation about it.
So that's this to do. This is
Well,
a suggestion about how to.
I only knew about that from lunchtime today.
Well, I only know it from 5 o'clock today.
Well, it was me who asked you to to circulate it because, unbeknownst to me, Councillor Curdo visited the clerk on Monday and had a conversation about it. For the purposes of Robert, Councillor Curdale is a project manager within the NHS, and this is what he does for a living.
Well, it's just logic. It's just logic. It's exactly when we're considering the solar panels.
Yes. Well, funny enough, let's just talk about business cases in general. So, business case. When you read the auditor report, she says, as stated previously, this project has not been without problems. Letting that pass.
Yeah.
I have recommended in the past that all projects should have business cases which is regularly updated to reflect changing circumstances.
Yeah.
Now, I had a problem with that because the internal auditor has been the internal auditor for 6 years, and Councillor Dawson said at the full council that we can't ignore it because this is a recommendation from an experienced YLCA auditor. And yet the business cases has never come up, and here we are 6 years on with a new requirement. So I'm not sure that I have recommended in the past that all projects should have business cases. So I'm kind of like, why have we missed that as a council?
No.
Yeah,
Have we asked the auditor for the business
You've been
case?
here for 6 years,
Yeah,
John.
absolutely,
You know, has it come up before? So I don't know. There's 2 business cases that we're aware of in the council. One is the CPWG, and it's in the terms of reference of that working group. It isn't, the word business case doesn't feature in the financial regs of this council.
Right.
If you do a search, and you can go through all that 23 pages of it, the business case. What it does say is that all financial decisions of the council should be made with due merit, properly taken with due consideration and things like that. It doesn't mention the word business cases.
Can I just ask
You
for some
can.
clarification?
We'll get into this.
What it says business case.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that mean exactly what it says?
Well, I'm
that
gonna-
value for money, etc., etc. Because I think that in general, all these are things that technically. I think honestly, recently we've made things much more difficult than they ought to be. You see, I think a lot of these things are just fundamental and
I was going to get there with logic, John.
yeah.
For,
Go on,
for the
right,
purposes of the
I'll listen to you,
statement.
but I just thought I'd ask you for clarification on what a business case is.
I'm on the page with you, and I
Yeah.
think we're in a broad agreement, even though you haven't said a word too much yet. But so, business case for the CP toilet is in the terms of reference.
Right.
The other big project didn't have a working group, although it did have a working group. It wasn't a properly formed working group with a terms of reference, which is the hub.
Right.
So when you go back into the minutes, looking at was there a business case, was it approved? You find in April 2019 where on the agenda it's to consider the business case for the office toilet project. So you think, oh great. So then you go down to F, which is resolved that the business case for the application for borrowing approval be approved.
Right.
So it's kind of changed its context in the thing. So it's not the business case for the hub and all the financial details for it, like the fridge and the things. What it is the application for it's a business case to apply to the government.
Absolutely, that's what I'm going to say.
So-
This we had to produce a business
Yeah, no, I
case
get that.
to send, and they say they're happy with
I
that
know.
business case, and so they'll loan us the money.
I know.
Don't go over the top on this, because there will be some things that you won't bother with a business case for.
Well, business cases. The word business worries me with the council. You talked about solar cells just off camera before you come in, and the solar cells. It's absolutely a business case where you're spending money and you get a payback, and it makes sense from that.
Yeah.
But a public service equality duty, you can't have a business. You can make a case, but you can't have a business case.
No.
Same with flowers.
Yeah.
How are you going to write a
You
business
can't-
case for flowers for £11,000 a year?
No, you can't.
How are you going to make a business case for painting lampposts
Yeah.
when you're talking about the
I understand
appeal
what you
for
mean
Bingley?
because
Riverside railings.
Yeah.
How are you going to make a business case for Riverside railings
Okay.
and then measure the improved footfall
This
of
is
that?
this is what I keep saying. We make it far too hard for ourselves. Parish councils are a piece of cake, right?
Yeah.
You just come up with something. You make sure it's value for money. You get the prices, and you work along with your clerk who advises you.
So-
and that's the way I see it.
You get quotes and
Yes.
So even picking up Councillor Curdale's piece of paper, which the public may be watching, can't see, but it talks about a business case. Well, again, that's that word business case. I don't like it. Not in council. Philippa, I'm preaching here. What do you going to say?
It's a standard project
It is.
document in industry for
Yes.
any major project,
Yes.
but only above a certain
Major,
size.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
So for me, looking down Lewis's list, I think for what we do, you want one of the top three.
Right.
Where would your financial, you're saying above above a financial limit. Where would yours we don't have to decide on it, but where would you pitch it? We've got £8,000 for Riverside railings, £8,000 for solar cells, £11,000 for flowers, 28 grand for lampposts, 70 grand
Well,
for
28 grand for lampposts. I think we probably should have had a business case because it's a lot. It's a lot of the public's money. It's almost, for me, you would either tie it into financial regs, so where we go from one quote to three quotes to whatever, what you would expect. That's a break point for the amount of rigour that you're putting into something.
I'm fairly confident we've got these in either whatever you call it, standing orders or.
the word business case doesn't feature.
No. These
those.
cut-off price. Yes, cut-off costs.
Those are in there.
Yes, yeah.
It's
yeah.
1,000, 4,000, I think, from memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of business case, in justification, I would just say it's not a business case. It's a case for. It's a case for doing something.
Yeah.
And it
I agree.
says like flowers. You know, you're spending 11,000 and you are demonstrating civic pride. You are improving the attractiveness of the town. You know, you're improving.
You're not going to monetise
You're not-
those,
you
'cause
can't monetise it.
We're not going to go to that.
No,
We
no.
could, but as we've discussed
You write
earlier,
a
it's a
case.
ridiculous.
You write a case and you
Process
sign it
it
off
to do.
as saying we,
Agree.
the council,
I
agree.
agree.
That is the reason we're doing it.
I agree.
And that,
I agree.
And for me, for our lower value projects, that's what the risk and resource document's there for. isn't it?
I agree with you. Like the owl.
Yeah.
Risk and resource. In terms of the risk and resource document, I think, having said that, there isn't a business case strictly for this building, but there was a business case for the borrowing approval, which then this project tried to get back to that borrowing approval limit all the time by changes and cutting out and architects' meetings and things like that. If they'd have said, well, okay, that's the borrowing approval, but the business case is something different, and they could have gone a different way. And in terms of the risk and resource document for this building, that wasn't agreed until April 2020, one full calendar year after the business case for borrowing approval was made. So, you know, it did disconnect, whereas Lewis has got it, you know, pretty much on initiation phase, where you would write a case, the project brief and the risk and resource document. So I think this needs a small working group to have a look at it and kick it round and come back with a recommendation. Well, no, I don't mean a working group, a conversation, a conversation, a bit like the SIL policy, which we're going to come on to.
It needs a small group of people just to thrash it.
We're
through,
missing
isn't
3
it?
other councillors tonight, and I'm kind of uncomfortable that we don't want to be recommending to the full council something we haven't really eaten into and discussed ourselves.
Okay.
So, I think we can kick this one down the road for the business case thing to say we're still looking at it, and then we can have a conversation. And bring something back, something properly formulated back to the next F&GP. What do you think about that?
Well, I just think we could put a financial limit on it. I think Philippa is trying to say we must do a business case every time. I think they're either level in finance where we just use our common sense.
I think Philippa said there are natural breakpoints in the finance regulations which lend to the idea, but John and I were saying that the business case should dump the word business case and it's a decision point, and it requires a paper. Why are you doing it?
At the end of the day, you have a full council that vote on all these things.
Yes.
And if they all voting for it, it's got to happen, hasn't it?
You know, as far as we've had the conversation, that I've already told the financial auditor that we approved this case in December the 7th, and we took a decision. So there was a business case, and we took it for the CP toilet. So the whole thing about
I think we do. I think we do struggle with semantics. Because for me, going back to, you know, in industry, if you've got a business case, part of the business case is you've got all the money before you start doing something.
Yes.
And that's, I don't know if that's what the auditors always had in their head, because with the CP toilet, we haven't. You know, we voted in January that we'd got all the money and that we were passing our financial regs so we could let the contract, which is technically bad practice.
and
Can you separate a business case from maintenance cases?
No, because it should have that in. Your business case should have your full total ownership cost of whatever it is you're going to do. You should, so that you understand exactly what you're committing yourself to.
Somebody needs a new desk. Give them a business case.
No.
I think, you know, as a point of information, I think in September this committee knew that we were going to come up with a lot of money left at the year end, and so the case was, are we going to do CP toilets in this fiscal year or going to kick it into next fiscal year? It didn't make any difference because the money would have been, and I think we were clear on that around about September, October last year. So I think we were all confident that we knew what we were talking about. And the other thing is, going back to Lamppost Gate, that now Councillor Owen's gone, I can mention it again.
I'd rather you didn't.
Well, I did some analysis on that, and hang on, the regen budget was 19,700 in that year, and the final bill for paint and lamppost was 28 grand. So it was a project we started without enough money in the budget.
No.
and we had to via it from other
No,
budgets, including from the reserves.
Not having it. Not having it.
Okay.
No.
Can I talk to you outside about that, because I've got the minutes on my desk and I didn't. bring them down.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but it is the owl's being misled here.
Okay.
This was due to outside and interfering from.
Bradford.
No, not at all.
No.
I mean, from a local district councillor.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I'll say. I aren't
okay.
naming any names.
So
If he hadn't have, if that particular councillor hadn't have objected to the scheme, it would have been done for £8,000 less, because the extra was for new regulations set out by Bradford Council for traffic management.
and that wouldn't have been in the
That
original
was
thing.
not in the initial budget.
Wouldn't it have come up?
It couldn't have, because the job had been done, and that new regulation did.
If it's delayed something and then something's come in, then you might have additional.
No, what I'm saying was a new regulation by Bradford that appeared.
Yes, it came in after. It came in when we actually came to do it.
Okay.
If there hadn't been any objections and it going to Rosshaw and deciding what colour it were going to be and changing the mind and trying to get it to be blue,
Right.
it would have happened on budget.
Okay.
And so when
I'm
it's
sure-
mentioned that it's 28,000, it's like talking about people that don't like the cost of this place.
Yeah.
It's not being portrayed in the correct manner, because this were a loan and it's going to belong to Bingley Town Council. It's going to become an asset.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
In 20 years, it isn't. We haven't spent that money. We've borrowed that money,
Yeah.
but we're responsible for repaying it, and that's the way I see it. So I don't want the public misleading.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think for me, the past is the past.
I was going to say that again.
We need to ensure
I agree.
that going forward, what we do.
And that's with
Where
everything
it's
else.
significant sums of money, that we're a bit more rigorous
So
about.
we've just agreed, haven't we, that we're going to put it. Who's going to do that? Is that you and I again, or just
And Lewis, I would suspect.
you and Lewis? You and me and Lewis?
Whatever.
Can you throw some bits of paper around?
Yeah.
We know we've got the time, don't we? I don't know about Lewis, but Lewis is good to make a good start. So
I
is
don't
that
know-
agreed?
I don't
That
know, you have time. You're doing bloody canoe club. You're doing lock gates. Are you still doing locks?
she is.
Well, I'm in the winter rest period.
Yeah, I know,
only for
but
a
I mean,
couple of
going
weeks.
forward,
Only
yeah.
for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of weeks and then I'll be out of
So
Okay. You know what I'm saying.
So I'm making a proposal then that Philippa and I and Lewis will kick it around
Yeah,
and bring
I'll
a
second
reasoned paper back on cases based on all the discussion we've just had. So, seconded.
Yeah.
All in favour?
Yeah.
Robert, thank you very much. Right, asset register. Well, this, as I understand, 21-22-151 asset register, there were some emails flying around which seems to indicate that you're going to have a meeting about it.
Yes.
So is this something that we can pass on this?
Yeah, if we can defer it to the next full council meeting,
Yes.
then it'll still be.
You can have a Teams
before-
meeting with Councillor Truelove
Yeah.
from Spain, I believe.
Yeah.
It needs absolutely bottoming out. This is the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if we can move on that then to 21-22-152, the Facilities Management Subcommittee. Well, again, that was myself, Councillor Good and Councillor Truelove, just about quorum the other day. We had three things coming out of that. One was a proposal to look at the entrance doors to the hub.
Yeah.
One was a proposal to renew the signage on the hub because of opening hours and telephone numbers. And one was to look at the internet service provider.
Yeah.
So taking those in the order I've just said them, Councillor Truelove is the chair of the FM subcommittee, but as he's not here, do you want to say a few words, or shall I just ramble?
I mean, on your suggestion of getting quotes for changing the front doors, I've had a conversation with Mark, with Councillor Truelove yesterday. We're just wondering whether it's really necessary to have these doors changed.
I had the same conversation with him, and I agree with him.
Oh,
I was gonna say,
what that we don't need to change it?
change them?
Yeah, my
You
view-
see, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not sort of personalising this only because it's you.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, you said people couldn't identify that it was.
I don't like them as an aesthetic
There's
approach.
two things that I want to bring up about it. One is, all you need to do is put a new sign up and say, main entrance on the door.
I agree.
Okay?
Yes.
I agree.
And that
A
would
bit like a hospital.
pardon?
A bit like a hospital.
Okay. The other thing
Or
is
just
that we
somebody says office.
if we're doing facilities management to do with the hub, is it needs painting, Steve.
Yes.
The thing needs refurbing because when I went out with Nicola just to look at, because she was talking about where the water's splashed up.
Yeah.
So in that front door,
Yeah.
you've got three colours.
Yeah.
You've got where the water's come up, so it's grey. The next bit is where it's weathered, and the other bit is where it's sheltered and it's pristine.
Well,
so it all needs sorting out and a coat of paint all the way around when we get the new building.
Well, I was just going to say that when the new building's there, that will stick out like a sore
Match,
thumb.
yeah,
You've got
what's all
brand new
matched, yeah.
larch, and on the back of it,
Yeah.
it's going to have new larch on it.
Yeah,
So I think in the spring, summer,
yeah.
it's going to be April.
Did you want to put a title on it?
Pardon?
You want to put a title on it? Town Council Office or Town Council
It
Hub?
is on the top of the
It is, but for the postman or somebody that come into the building, something straight in our colours or something like that.
I
And
think the sign that's on there at the moment that was also agreed at FM to replace, that we've had a quote for, that just needs putting on the front door.
Yeah.
Instead of it being at the side, it just needs putting on the front door with the opening hours and the phone
yeah,
number.
well, that'll do it.
That's all it needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll do
So
it.
get a new sign, but put it on the front door instead
Yeah.
of spending $4,000 on doors.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
And it was only two, but yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Just for just so the Joe public don't think we're properly got on doors. No, it's just under 2,000.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. So are we all in
Have you
agreement?
got a notice board out there?
Yeah, there's a main notice board out there, massive.
Oh my God. Oh, forgive me, please. Oh.
There's a notice board
I'm
outside
waking up
the-
someday.
A public notice board.
There's a public notice board outside, but there is a notice board for the council in the entrance lobby.
Oh, yes, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's two
Inside.
notice boards. So are we agreed that entrance doors is a no-go?
Yes,
Are we agreed that signage is down to the clerk and the clerk's dealing and she can put it
Yes.
on the doors?
propose that.
Right,
Propose
okay.
back.
Seconded.
Propose the first thing,
Okay.
the doors. Yeah.
Okay. And internet then?
I don't know anything about them.
Well, the clerk is on with
Yeah.
quotes, and we're out of contract with the current supplier. There are issues around the service provider who's providing 6 months free,
Yeah.
and potentially it could be free thereon after. However, that free thereon after requires some advertising
absolutely.
on our website. So Helen and I, Councillor Irene before she left was saying, well, we don't have a problem with that. The clerk does have a problem with that, and there's an issue around
I think
that.
there is. I think I think there's something in our regulations that said we should
There
be
is.
promoting
Yes, it
commercial
says- it says-
commercial outfits.
It says preferably not, but it doesn't say you can't.
Right. Okay.
Right, and our website, if you look down the bottom, it says powered by the website provider,
All right.
whatever it's called. I've forgotten what they're called. What are they called? The website provider,
No, digital
nomad.
All right.
provided by digital nomads. So in theory, we're already
Right.
advertising digital nomads. So I didn't have an issue with a ideological objection.
No.
However, I think there's a recommendation coming which says we go down that route and pay for it because
Yeah.
it's competitive.
Yeah.
So I think we just kick this in the long grass until the
So the
clerk
quote's coming.
until the quotes come in.
Fine. Yeah.
All right.
Do you want a proposal on that then?
No, that's
No, it's just-
that's the recommendations to agree any actions.
Oh, that's our recommendations to full council. Is it?
The actions are we wait.
Right. Okay.
Is that,
Yeah.
is that agree? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on then. Direct debit for business stream to consider and approve the direct debit for the water costs for the hub and allotments. I don't know too much about this. I certainly didn't see in a supporting document that I could print.
There wasn't one really, there was just
Right.
the direct debit form that they sent us. It was just for us to agree to pay it by direct debit. We pay the water bill now anyway.
Is that a no-brainer then?
It has
Yeah.
to be agreed at a meeting.
It's
that's
just
all.
okay.
it's just something we have to.
Opposed?
It's just something we have to
Seconded.
approve. Yeah. All in favour.
Yes. Okay.
Robert. All in
Yes,
favour?
okay, yes. Direct debits are very useful,
Yeah.
especially if you get forgetful.
21-22-154 Green and Clean update from Councillor
All
Good
right.
and agree in the actions, John.
Oh, right, I need to apologise to this committee because I've the wheels are in motion to do a litter pick that isn't approved by the Bingley Town Council.
Wow.
The reason I've gone ahead with it is because there were restraints on time for publicising, for getting the publicity out for the event. That had to go to Bingley Directory.
Right.
So I've done and Nicola's done a lot of work. We've done work together, and we've put a poster together. I don't
when
know
is
whether
it?
you've seen it.
When is it and what's it for?
So this, but I have mentioned the project. I'm fairly confident I've mentioned the project at full council, and that is the Air River Trust.
You did.
Right, Air River Trust. So I said I'd be prepared to take it on. Well, I've taken it on.
Okay.
And we're doing that on the 10th of April,
Okay.
and we're
The 9th, John?
9th.
no, sorry,
Yeah.
it's 7th. The
Saturday the 9th of April.
the project or the slot that they're doing to clean the river air up is from the 7th to the 10th, and ours is on the 9th,
The
which
9th.
is a Saturday, and it's 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock, and we're working in conjunction with Friends of Myrtle Park. So
Okay.
Friends of Myrtle Park have got sectioned the park up, and so if anybody wants to go and work with them, they can do, or we'll probably set off from here.
So the meeting point is here. At
It's
10
both. It's both on the poster that's been published in the directory.
Okay.
Either at the Cenotaph, which is their hub, or our hub.
Okay. 10 o'clock.
But
on the 9th.
but I'll,
Okay.
I'll do a bit more work before
Okay.
that time. The other thing is we've got a litter pick this Saturday, which is 10 till 12, and I'm basing it here. I've mentioned.
behind the
Yeah,
partnership?
yeah, and also I'm going to try and send people down to the old graveyard that's at
Yeah.
the same size as the petrol station.
Yeah.
I looked at that in the past, and there's stuff in there that would be easily got out.
Okay.
I also mentioned that a member of the public, or one of our litter pickers actually, from Cross Flats had I think the last F&GP, identified some stuff in Cross Flats school and suggested about involving children. Now I've been and walked it today on the canal bank. Now all the litter that I saw, there wasn't a vast amount, but there's some there, is all in among shrubs and bushes, and it's a nightmare. It would be a nightmare for kids. What I'm going to take it forward with this particular man and see where he's seen, because he made it out there was lots and lots of it. There will be lots and lots of it if you go looking for it, but it's all in among undergrowth and stuff like that.
Because it's woods that side of the canal, isn't it? It's a little wooded bit. That
It
goes into
goes
the
all
back of the
along.
school,
There's no fence. There's no fence. They have various gates to get in, and they're locked. But there's loads of little ginnels to get through. So going forward, so that's litter pick, and that's. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we should have. Yeah,
Thank you.
there's something else. But,
So is that Cross Flats school thing not going ahead then?
no, I didn't say that, Eve. What I said was I need to do some more research before I took my thing today. I was going to go see him today. I took me, because I was dressed in my best. I had my other pants on. I had my worst pants on. But anyway, I didn't go when I'd been to look. I went to look at it first, and then I thought it wasn't prudent to do that till we took it farther.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. 21-22-155 market update. To receive an update on the markets. Anyone?
Yes. Well, we had the market on Saturday. It didn't rain,
Good.
which were excellent. Now, going forward, it's always. I know it's down to me because I bring my van down, but it's always just me these days. It's just me and Jeff, and he were there to help me to get it down.
Yeah.
We definitely need. You can. Peter from Auditor Partnership. He's always helps us, but then another. We had to get another guy who were putting a gazebo up at the WI.
Yeah.
Just a little interjection there. So this chap's putting this all poles, sticking them together, and puts this here 3x3 gazebo up next to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I jokingly said to him, "You seem to be a bit of an expert. Do you want to give us a hand?" You know, he came and took over.
Oh.
I'll get a corner each, lads. We've only done it, you know, we've only done it 50, 60 times. And Peter's probably done it 5,000 times, you know, but he came and anyway, we did it.
Yeah.
But so if it's possible, a suggestion is like Ruth's asking for people to come down and man the stall, etc.
Yeah.
Maybe just another pair of hands. It's fairly easy to take down. It's you know.
It's the early doors that you want.
Well,
How early is early doors? How early is early?
Oh no, it's in early doors. I mean,
It's 10 till 12 and 12 till 2 are the two councils.
I have to be I'm about 8:30 because I want to get it up for 9 because I've got another job then. I've got to go to my gardening group, has to be there for 10.
Oh, right, okay.
You see, and I've got to go get back and get my tools and bags and all that, you know. So if there's anybody free on just a pair of hands, you know, it's only half an hour basically.
I think you should. I think we should add that to the full council agenda as just to ask.
Yeah.
Because there's 16.
We'll get through it because I just go ask somebody from another stall to help us. But it's just.
Don't we need to add it into Ruth's?
It's on there, I think, isn't it?
Well, I think manning the store is, but not being there at half 8 for set up.
Yeah. Oh, I see. In that team thing.
Yeah. I mean, I drag stuff out and that, you know.
I think that's true.
Bring the things up. Not every time, but I'll do it every time. But no bother at the moment, you know. Well, I'm still able.
I know that
It don't get any easier though.
No, I'm sure.
You know, there's a big bugger in there. It's that double thing. It takes a bit of handling.
Yeah.
But I bring my own sack cart as well.
Yeah. Okay.
At no extra cost.
I do know that Councillor Truelove has met with the guy from Amplitude about.
I was with him.
Yeah. Do you think we should raise that now or leave that till it feeds back to the appropriate?
No, we'll leave it till full. The reason I'm saying that is, to me, it's an exciting project.
Yeah.
There's Mark and I have been invited to Chamber of Trade.
Yeah.
Their Amplitude mentioned about stalls.
Yeah.
About this big project that they want to do for the World Cup, which end of November. But there's a meeting at the cafe on next Monday. I think it's next Monday. And Mark and I are going. But then he won't be able to report on it. But then I'll be able to say something at full council.
Well, my advice to Mark was that he should talk to Peter from. We've had this because. Well, we can talk about it I can't go into detail because I don't have any. It was a change that involved Doctor Town Partnership. So it was a change that involved
a small change. Yes,
So.
The suggestion would be, you see, that there would be in among this event there would be a normal market, but there's an avenue there that runs behind the market square.
In front of the Buttercross.
Yeah, it takes you down through the Buttercross, which would be wide enough to put gazebos.
Yeah.
And that's just what I said.
Yeah,
I said we need to talk to Peter and sort that out.
Okay, good.
Interestingly, there's less power, but the double box that's that they use now, you could go out of that way. Yes. Okay. Good point though. Yeah. Long extensions.
Well,
but it'd be a one-off.
I'll mention it, safety and things like that as well.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
They did seem really professional in all they were saying about. I mean, it's a commercial operation, but about getting all the regs and the health and safety and generator and goodness knows what. Yeah, it sounded good to me. I mean, so I'd be supporting it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the update on markets. Anyone else? No? Moving on. So 21-22-157 SIL policy review. Philip and I haven't got together on the SIL policy review, so that is exactly the same as when we left it last month. That we've moved it forward a little bit in as much as we've raised it with our consultant on neighbourhood plan, who says there is no formal requirement to join together with Bradford Council. If you remember, I'd been on the internet and found some from other councils where they actually had a SIL subcommittee, which was not the F&GP. Whether they had an F&GP, I don't know, but they had a SIL subcommittee which was fundamentally meeting twice a year to decide SIL policy payments, and was working with their district council so they could see what was coming down the line, and so that their SIL payments were in coordination with the SIL spend of the district council. So I floated that to Lee when we first met him, and he said there was no requirement in law for us to do that, so we could spend SIL money on what we wanted. So from a ideological point of view, I've moved my position based on input from a consultant, but I'm just wondering now whether we should do that. I mean, we don't have to. So the question is, do we want to be more aligned with Bradford, or do we still want to just have a standalone SIL policy? In which case, I can rewrite the SIL policy quite quickly now, because I don't have to have the ideological discussion with Philip, because Helen was doing it as well. See, so it was this. It was this. You need a third person to referee the fight.
Is it a good thing though? I know there's a lot of criticism about Bradford Council, but I've always seen the Parish Council and Bradford Council working together to improve Bingley. That's my view on it. Is there any, if we go off on our own, is there any detriment, to not being involved with their policy?
My view was that it'd be nice to know what plans they got for our parish with the SIL payments.
Definitely.
So any interaction with them, is going to be helpful, even though we might not throw our SIL money into that same project. We might find a sub-project like Riverside Railings to do. Also, there is this requirement of reporting to the council what we spend SIL, or nil reporting, because the district has to make a report. They have to make sure that all SIL payment is spent within 5 years. Otherwise, it could be returned to the developer.
Right.
So they need to make sure that we're spending it. So from their point of view, our long range plan and a 2 year window might be useful.
I think we had Eve and I and Nicola and Eve and I and Andy Ollison and Marcy's Shirley had a conversation, and it seems to me even now that I keep seeing things. The district councillors are doing this, and we don't know. We don't know, and it doesn't help. And we do. What are they doing? I mean, this thing came up yesterday. What they're doing? What's this? What's this pressure washing? What's this hub thing? I don't know. It's an agenda item. This, but
why are they pressure washing out there?
The pressure, right? This is monies that's come to do with this regeneration, getting people back into the towns, etc. And it's government money, Eve, is it?
I assume so.
Is that to do with that logo that's been stuck on the
That's
paper?
the fella. That's the
Spring
fella.
into 2022.
Yes, and that's this.
Spring back.
This.
Or is that the Bradford general thing?
This is. They had an event, this microbrewery event in Shipley last week, and they're having
Sup.
this week, and I think this week,
This
this Saturday,
Yeah.
and then ours at 19th is on the Market Square.
Sup.
Were these events a combination of Shipley Council.
No.
Yeah, go on
No.
Cowper District working together.
No, this is Bradford Council, right? This has been done with district councillors. That's
I mean, this seems to me very poorly timed, because if they're going to have a beer event in a couple of weeks, you would have thought we would need it washing afterwards, not before.
Well, you want people to see it sprinkling. Anyway, is it then the consensus of this committee, or the people here tonight, that I do produce a rewrite of the SIL policy that includes that integration with Bradford, and then see what you guys think about it next month when you're all here? Shall I produce said draft?
what do
You can.
You can, from your point of view. You can reserve judgment on it when you see it.
I'll reserve judgment, because I think we need to be. I'll be back at my home. But we want to know what Bradford are doing.
Yeah.
But we also want to have our own plan.
That's a different thing. I agree. I agree with the answer.
If the two do dovetail and we can both contribute to a project, fine.
I mean,
but if they're doing something, because they don't have to spend the
It's information liaison
from Bingley,
not necessarily project.
This was the reason. This was the reason for this meeting we had with Andy Alderson and Marcia to try and coordinate things better, so that so we knew what Bradford were doing and they knew what we were doing.
I think picking up something that Philip has just said as an aside to make sure you guys were on the page. Philip had just said that Bradford don't have to spend the SIL that they get from developments in Bingley in the parish.
Right.
That's true, but there is a stage of the 2 years, 3 years, the first 2 years, and then the second 3 years of the 5-year period of the SILs, if it's accordance with the Section 106 money, which still exists.
Absolutely
So
exists, and this is another big thing that's going on, and this is why it's ironic, really, because with all this risk and resource and one thing and another, and I took that project on. I've done lots of work, but I don't know where the heck we are.
No.
Because Bradford Council sort of took it away, taking on the responsibility.
Yeah.
What I want to know now is two things: is what are they suggesting that they're going to do? Are we going to have any input? Why can't it be done with this 106 money from that building at bottom?
I get it.
And I've had conversations with district councillors and. There's something else that I've done. I can't remember.
Our tightening our SIL policy to include engagement with district will help you with that.
Yeah.
So are we in agreement that I'll produce a draft now and we'll start?
We'll have a look
because
at
I was asking for third person.
Yeah.
Now Helen's left, but I don't that we need that now. I think we fall in agreement.
I think we can keep it simple and.
Okay, so that would be my proposal.
Oh well, I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. 21-22-158 Communications and Social Media Policy Review. We have our communications policy, all 16 pages of it, which covers everything. But I was talking through the clerk with YLCA about email policy, our email policy, specifically. How do we communicate as councillors on it? And a lot of it is on email. For example, all these documents came out on email.
Yeah.
So I wanted to check whether or not we have a mandate to ask councillors to use their email. And the YLCA pushed out this Tidworth Town Council email policy, which is a subset of our bigger policy. If you think of our bigger policy, there's like 4 different sections of it, and only some of it is emails.
Yeah, but that doesn't do that.
No, it doesn't. What I said to the clerk was neither documents require councillors to use emails. It does say something about highlighting issues affecting the use of email, providing guidance on expected working practice. So, but it doesn't say what the guidance is in this document. It talks about, there's nothing in either document which says councillors should use email.
No.
Right, so my question is, it says to include expectations of councillors' email access to information, because a lot of our stuff comes out as supporting information on emails. It doesn't get yet put on the internet as supporting information. So unless you're on email, you can't see the information that you at council not looking at emails, not looking at supporting information. So that's where I have a sort of an issue. And if you look on the council's existing policy, it says under page 11, general, it says the council provides employees, members and volunteers with email and internet access as required for the performance and fulfilment of job responsibilities. Now, we talked before that this isn't a job,
No.
but it is an unappointed position. It carries with it social responsibility.
Yeah.
So, I think you could argue that it's kind of included already in our policy document that it is for the performance and fulfilment of job responsibilities. But the word job talks about employees.
Well, I think a lot of that policy
It is
aimed at employees. It's not aimed at councillors.
It is. It also says good practice to use agreed email signature, including a waiver clause. Well, I'm not using one. I don't know whether you've added that.
I have, because
You have.
it was in my pack when I.
Yeah, I don't know
Whatever
whether
it
you
should be,
use
but-
that.
I haven't a clue what that is.
Well, it's if you go to
It's a load
Ruth's-
of, it's a
if you
load
go
of
to
guff
Ruth's-
on the bottom of an
if you go
email.
to
Oh, I say no. I don't use that.
that signature that Ruth's typically used.
No,
But
I was told when it first came out that we had to do it, and I've never done it.
right. Well, the Tidworth one on their email, it says access to email account and monitoring of content. One of the bullet points is ensuring effective operation of email facilities, but none of it specifically says you've got to look at your emails, guys.
No.
And you've got to look at your emails and check your emails like 2 days before the council meeting to make sure you've picked
Well,
up.
you see, this is something that's absolutely fundamental. How can you? This is what annoys me about meetings, that they go on so long, because you have to sit in that chair, or the chairman has to sit in the chair and describe everything. All right, it's for the benefit of the public, if you like.
Yeah.
But if
Well, that's why
I go to a lot of trouble to read everything. I haven't read that about that policy from that
Tidworth.
local council. I haven't read that. I agree with you. I haven't read that.
Okay.
But and when I come to a meeting, I've got a fairly good idea what we're talking about,
Yeah,
and I think
yeah.
that's.
Yeah, but you are an exemplar of a councillor.
No, I'm not.
But
No,
they're
I'm
not-
just saying that. But I'm. It takes me ages to read it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not.
What I'm saying is we know that not everyone is as good as you.
No.
So my question is, do we want to update the communications policy to say that
But-
we as a council expect councillors to access
Well,
their
you
email
can.
policy?
Yeah, you can put that, but there again, it.
I mean,
you
I
know.
think for me the problem is this is
What is that?
This is the councillor's induction guide, which
Oh,
is to
okay.
every new councillor,
Yeah,
that says effectively you should prepare for meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but that's not a policy of Bingley Town Council.
Well, maybe it should be,
Well, I'm saying, should we take that and put it in here then?
but it's not. But for me, it's not just email, because you've got to read the supporting documents. You've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
You've got to,
Okay.
you've got to prepare for the meeting and come and then be engaged in the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a few
this-
councillors that look disengaged in some of our meetings, doing
Absolutely,
other
this is something that I think I've said to someone. I might have even said it to Eve. It's something that I'm going to say in a full council meeting. That is, will councillors please read the Good Councillor's Guide before the start? Because that, if you read that, and that's it's a long time since I've read it, but I adhere to that.
I think YLCA's point of view, sorry, I'll take my hand away from it. Well, YLC's point of view was that you've got to put it in a policy before you can make it work.
Right. Okay.
You can't criticise a council if you haven't put a policy on it,
Right. Okay.
basically.
Yeah.
So, do we want to include the email in the council, or do we want to create a new policy which picks up that bit you're just saying?
I think if you have something that just says you've got to read your emails, you can go in and go mark them all as read, done.
Yeah.
You know.
Smart.
You know.
I like the way you're
doesn't-
thinking.
It doesn't mean
No.
someone's actually sat down and spent the time and effort
But even-
supporting.
But even then,
I mean, even if you gave someone
you
printed documents,
know,
you
we're-
can't say they're going to have read them.
we're all unpaid volunteers, and it's up to us whether we read them. But I mean, to me, there's no point in being here if we aren't going to if you're not going to interact and
If
do
you had a
something.
policy document that says members should prepare for meetings,
Yeah.
how can you prove they didn't?
You can't.
Oh, you
can't.
can't. That's
You
what I'm
can't.
saying. That's what I'm
So
saying.
should we just compromise and put a simple statement in here which says councillors are expected to keep up to speed with emails prior to coming to a meeting? Because meetings are cancelled by email.
Yeah.
So the diary would be there, but the meeting's cancelled because of illness.
Yeah.
Ward constituents communicating with councillors, they're not being read. You know, so ward councillors, they might as well not have the email written on the document. You see.
The unfortunate thing with technology is you've got to be very careful with your terminology. If we move to using Teams properly, so documents go on Teams rather than come via email, it doesn't matter what you write.
I did raise that with YLCA because of the issue with John and his fire pad not being able to do Teams, and even I thought, well, let's tackle emails first and then come back to Teams, because if you remember when the full council removed Chromebooks from the budget, Helen from the chair said, "I've got a cunning plan to sort out Teams and your issue."
Right, I've never heard of it.
Well, we don't know what the cunning plan was.
No,
because she's gone.
No. Well,
I think it was to get fewer.
The cunning plan might be to buy 2 or 3 Chromebooks for councillors who do want it.
Well, I thought I might in this item might bring this into the conversation.
Well, I didn't put it on there because I thought, well, let's bite the elephant one step at a time.
But I mean,
at a time.
as far as I'm concerned, as I keep, you're sick of me hearing this, but my tablet does all I want it to do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do what the council wants me to do.
No.
And I think roughly going by the quotes that you've done on the 16,
£179 each, including that.
and that were it sort of fully integrated into the system, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So for 200 or 300, 500 quid, you could get it covered
£119 each.
It cover 2.
Yeah.
And then I mean, I don't know how fair Robert is with the technology, but I'm sure I could soon.
You use an Android, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Well, that would do emails.
No, and also I always, what I really would love for my simplicity would be if we had a publication each month on our Bingley Town Council website.
What does that mean?
What do you mean?
I mean, you have an additional item going onto that. You've got lots of other information on it about the councillors and everything else.
I don't. What are you actually asking for, Robert?
On the Bingley Town Council website, which you go straight into, with all our lovely faces on it.
Yeah.
If you have an additional section on that for monthly information or extra information, that would be another way.
Are you suggesting that we should publish all the documents? Because
No.
there's loads of documents on there from these meetings, but not the supporting documents.
All the supporting documents should be on the website because we've already passed a motion mid last year to do that. However, there's 2 issues there. This document didn't get put on there because it's Tidworth's and it's on their website if you want to go and find it. The comms policy is already on our website, so it's there. The minutes of the meetings that I've referred to are already on there. The grant scheme is already on there.
Yeah.
So from the clerk's point of view, to repeat it on there as prep for this meeting, it's already on there. You just have to go and find it. So if you've got the agenda and it says, but it actually doesn't say Tidworth policy, it says an example email policy attached. So you don't know it's Tidworth, so maybe the agenda needs to be a bit better on that respect to allow us to go and do the prep. But there is an email, there is an agenda point and a supporting document on the website under documents for meetings F&GP. You can see.
You've got it here.
Yeah. So you can find that on the internet, but you can't necessarily find all the supporting documents depending upon what the meeting is and whether. And confidential documents come out by email. They do not come out on the internet. So, can I repeat my question? Do we want to just include a statement in this comms policy under there that says all councillors should, check their emails and be prepared for meetings with the latest information?
Well, I don't see what harm it can do.
Can I propose that?
Yeah.
Does someone want to second it?
I'll
Are we all in
vote for
favour of
it.
that?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Moving on then.
Right, well, good. Before you go off this item, which is communications,
Yes.
are we going to consider our proposal,
Your proposal was to recommend to full council that we buy 2 Chromebooks for use
or similar? Because
well, Chromebooks is already recommended by Cloudy IT and they're cheap as chips. So
right, okay, yeah,
we've got that
It's
proposal.
it's just the number, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it
Well,
2? Is it 3?
well,
Is it 2 or is
Well-
it 3? Who's got a problem? Who?
Well, as far as I know, it's
2
been
at the
Robert
moment.
and I, and
It's
I
2.
think everybody else is happy.
Well, certainly Philippa said she's quite happy with her ASOS and didn't want any more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got that general view that everybody,
I'm happy.
if you used to have a normal laptop or something.
I'm only printing it because I was chairing the meeting, so I move bits of paper around. Otherwise, I would bring a tablet, like you.
Yeah. Okay.
So should we recommend to full council again that from the F&GP that
Because-
we buy 2 Chromebooks and go back to? Should we go back to Cloudy IT and say, do they want to refresh their quote now that we're only wanting 2?
Yeah.
Because the setup costs and the
Yeah,
shipping costs.
because that's when I came in the other day because I didn't know how to go about this.
Yeah.
In as much as I didn't want to bring it up at this meeting because I didn't have a risk and resource thing, and I didn't have, and I didn't have any quotes.
The risk and resource document has already been written for 16, so I wrote it.
No,
It'll need redoing.
but you know what I'm saying.
Refreshing
So
2 or 3.
So Eve said, well, we've got a agenda item on communication, so bring it up there. So we brought it up there, so we can take it forward.
I second your proposal.
Thank you.
Go back to Cloudy IT and refresh there, and I will help you with the risk and resource document, but doing it for you.
Well, I can.
It's already done.
I could do it. Oh, that's fine.
It's
Okay.
done.
Right.
Yeah.
So all in favour then? Pardon?
Sorry, shall we, the
2.
amount of them, just so
Does.
we go back to Cloudy IT, so we definitely need 2, maybe we should get 3 so we've got a spare one in case,
Yeah.
because we've got a
3.
new councillor.
3.
Well, we're down a councillor, aren't we?
We're down against 3.
Yeah, 3 then. Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
So moved, so proposed, so accepted, I think.
Yeah.
All in favour?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, people.
Before we move on,
Okay.
just because these documents have got a date of review of 23rd of February 2021 on them, do we need to just nod them through for this year?
I'm happy. I've read it, and I've read it extensively the last 2 weeks, and I'm happy.
I'm happy with it.
With just adding that email statement in it.
I'll propose it then.
Yeah. Propose as so amended, and we'll put the amendment before the full council. Okay. Thank you. Agreed. Okay.
Can I just add on that as well, because Lewis pointed out that in the communications policy it refers to the Data Protection Act of 1998, so that needs to be changed
To the GDPR European regulations as moved into UK government by
So if
Brexit.
you're amending it, can you amend that as well?
Oh,
I can send it to you.
Actually, I've only got it on the PDF. So if you want to send me the Word document, I'll gladly amend it, and Philippa can help. Okay, so next then, grant scheme. 21-22-159 grant scheme guidelines and criteria to review the grant funding scheme guidelines and criteria to agree any amendments, including submission dates for the year, the current grant scheme guidelines and criteria attached.
I've got an amendment.
Yeah.
It should say Eve Haskins as opposed to Ruth
Ruth
Batterley,
Batterley,
which
yeah.
is still on there.
Yeah.
Well, at the bit at the top, the first paragraph, the end of it, it says for the year beginning April 2020, it's a special focus on Are we keeping that, or are we having a focus on climate emergency still? Or do we just make it more general and say we encourage projects that address the climate emergency? Just leave it at that.
Personally speaking, I don't care. I don't think there is a climate emergency. However, I'm a voice in the wilderness of the nuclear wasteland that is the climate emergency. But yeah, if you want to make that more general, we encourage.
Yeah. Do we still have inquiries at
And
the town
associated
council?
topics.
Yes.
What was that, Sally?
And associated topics.
did you say?
What
Do
other
we just have that?
associated
Do we
topics?
still have that
Oh, if you've
inquiries?
got climate emergency things on it.
Oh, I see. It's an
Yeah,
email
but-
address, right? Yeah. Sorry, Robert.
I'm saying, if you want to just make it general, that there can be other things added onto anything, it's just associated topics.
Well, people can bid for anything, can't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just the dates, isn't it?
Dates,
I had a more fundamental thought, was that this talks about 2 grant schemes, small grants to that and large grants to that, but actually we operate 3 grant schemes.
We do.
And whether
Sale's
we
got a
should
different
cross.
policy though. Sale's got a completely
Yeah, but
different.
should we refer to it and see our seal policy grants for which there was a separate policy document, see web,
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
because we don't give people a tip off that it's there. Well, we should.
And also, of course, that people can apply, as we've just had a report from the incinerator, that they can apply for more money than the £2,000
Yeah.
in general, in odd cases.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So any more for any more? What about the timings? This says F&GP in June, October, and February. Subject to budgeted funds still being available throughout the year.
They've done as and when, really. I don't think we've ever waited for them, have we?
Yeah, we've always adhered to. I think we've always adhered to them in the past. However, there's always that opportunity to bring one in and take it to full council, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's. I think it's just a guide. I think it was just a guide to
Allow us to budget.
allow the times between the.
Yeah, it says
The application and the meeting, so that if there were any anomalies sorting out prices or anything like that, it could be sorted out.
Right.
I think that's why it was done that
It
way.
doesn't say it has to be, does it? It just says will normally.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
quite
yeah.
vague, isn't it? Which
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah, it should be received, not shall. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can we leave the clerk and the officers to update this rather than one of us 4 councillors doing it? Because the dates we'll need thinking about, and if you take the same formula from the date of the meeting and then backdate it to on the top of page 2, Eve.
Yeah, I've
So
got it.
if you could just work the same formula through and update it as necessary, and can we agree it's subject to those changes being made, which is to make the climate emergency more general, to add the seal policy as C, to change Ruth Batterley to your good self, and to update the dates.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if we then put that to the full council, is that okay? So
Yeah.
Yep.
move on.
Yeah.
Thank you. 2122 160 risk management. This was an interesting one to me, but I think we need to. The way it's worded in the agenda, I'd like to receive an update on the review of the risk management policy before we talk about any new or acceptable. And
Fine.
we obviously haven't done that. And we're thinking about it, aren't we?
We've started it.
Yeah, we started it. Okay.
So Eve and I have met and have looked at the suggested template document. We are going to develop a policy or a risk management strategy and a risk register, which will be a living document.
Yeah.
We'll do that and bring that back next time.
Yeah.
But it does mean we will have to go through it.
Yeah, that was my point. That I've looked at the risk assessment that we do annually on the website, and it has that chart which we sign off every year, and it's a bit like the risk register that Lewis did for the hub. He did it in greens and yellows and reds, but it had the mitigation, the risk factor. We do this, we do that, and it's whereas we never do that. All we say, this is a risk. We don't actually talk about how do we mitigate against it, and what actions we need, and what number we give it.
Well, that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
And I think you need to do that. That's what I was going to say.
And we're going to take it up a level from the current Bingley risk policy, because I think it probably was Ruth, and she went through almost every contract and pulled out every clause. So it's not.
Yeah.
It's too detailed. So we're going to bring it up a level so that we might have one risk for vandalism across everything, rather than vandalism of the hub, vandalism of the toilet.
Yeah.
We're too much to cope with.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be quite a hefty document that we are going to have to go through in a meeting.
Wait a minute.
I'm not for having more and more meetings.
We will go through when we
What-
put the document
what-
together and do an initial risk score. But if people disagree with any of them, we're going to have to go through them at the meeting.
Can I make a suggestion here, Chair?
Yeah. John and then Robert.
If you remember, we, yourself, myself, Jennifer and Ruth,
Yes.
went through the allotment policy.
I do.
Could we not have a meeting where we went through that as a individual item?
Possibly. No comment at this point in time. Robert.
Well, my opinion is to have all the considerations down as a list for us to choose which ones to endorse and what not to endorse.
Well,
Okay.
if as we went through it more or less line for line, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking at. What I'm saying is just from a practical point of view.
does it
If you
need
have
its own
a meeting
meeting?
like this, how long is it going to take? I told you. It's a bit of a joke, but I moved my car 3 times, twice. I moved my car twice for parking. It's true, didn't it?
So my question was that we have an annual risk assessment item on the full council. So that sets the risk assessment for the council of known things at that time, and it's a big document. Well, it's on.
Is that the main? Is that the one we're
That's the one
talking
I'm talking about. Yeah, it's not in colours, but it does have risk scores, and it does have things we can do to minimise the risk. So you're not suggesting we would have to agree that at every F&GP?
No, I'm suggesting
new.
we would have to agree that in its new format
Yes.
first off,
Yes.
which will probably be a 2 or 3 hour meeting.
And then go to the full council for them to agree, which is what they do now.
And then instead of where we normally have identify new ones, this as a standing agenda item would need to become identify
And mitigations.
any new, well, that is part of identifying the risk.
Yeah.
Identify any new ones and any significant changes. But then on a quarterly basis, we probably do need to look at it and go through and just decide if anything has changed and what we're going to do about it.
I think you're right. I mean, I did look at the annual one and thought, well, we're just toying with it and we're just saying, oh, it's a risk, but we don't actually decide what we're going to do about it. So I'm glad you got that. So okay. So you're on with it, basically. That's
so we're on with it, but we probably do need a separate 2 or 3 hour meeting to slog through it.
We can have an EGM for the F&GP.
You could just have an informal meeting. It wouldn't have to be minuted, would it?
No, it won't. No,
No.
Like when you went through the allotments policy.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Long as it's
Yeah,
sanctioned by
because-
that, then it's pushed back to the
because
F&GP.
for the public,
It's the outcome, the output that's input.
the document that we've discussed.
Okay, let's do that.
Forward, isn't it?
Okay, so that's the update on the review. Thank you very much, Philippa. So, any new or unacceptable levels of risk to the town council? There's certainly a risk to the employees of the cleaning company I'm aware of. He's getting harassed by louts of the parish outside.
I think I've just heard something now.
Yeah.
Messing about.
Well, they stole his an item of kit yesterday and ran away with it. I think a spray bottle or something. Just a minor inconvenience to him that he looks round and where's his bucket, and it's in the hands of someone running down the street. So it's not it's not risk to the town council. It's just our our subcontractors are getting a little bit knocked.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just a broader risk, isn't it? General antisocial behaviour
Yeah.
around here.
Well, that thing by Bradford Council or the police coming up with this new categorisation.
Yeah.
Stop driving dangerously.
Yeah.
and that,
Yeah.
Like that. Not an ASBO, it's an ASPO.
Right. Yeah.
Antisocial
Yeah.
prevention order or something. Or
Yeah,
that
yeah.
might be something we could tap into.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more? Any you aware of Robert? Philippa?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. So we're moving on then. Yes.
Yeah.
2122 161 exclusion of the press and public. I'm not going to read it out because there's no one here. So that's going to move straight on to the date of the next meeting, which is noted as the Wednesday, the 13th of April, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. here.
Very good.
So with that, I declare this meeting closed at
Excellent.
20:06. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Well done.
Let's go